Welcome back to our show where we discuss BIGAS, battling insufficiency through guided agricultural sustainability. I'm Jeneline Enricoso, and with me are Arfelis Canilian and Marijoy Imia. Today, we will be talking and learning about the farming alternatives in managing crisis, episode 3.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be showing you today some farming alternatives in managing crisis.
Wow, that's great. I am looking forward to hearing about it.
Alternative agriculture is defined as production systems that do not use conventional methods. They aim at following the concept of agroecology. These kinds of systems seek sustainable performances while optimizing all agroecosystem resources. Alternative agriculture gathers a lot of different systems like organic agriculture, sustainable agriculture, integrated agriculture, agroforestry, permanent agriculture, and etc. Despite their differences, these systems share common values.
Absolutely, Arfel. In line with that, I would like to ask, do you know what our crisis is? Our crisis is either any event or period that will or may lead to an unstable and dangerous situation affecting an individual, group, or all of society. This includes the climate change, typhoons, drought, and etc. Any thoughts, Mary Joy?
Oh, I see that these two aspects go along with each other. Am I correct, Arfel?
You got it right, Mary Joy. Now I'll be sharing these ideas to everyone. The Department of Mindanao and Sulu is one section of the Philippine archipelago which has no fear of a rice famine and where no price regulation on rice is necessary. Governor Carpenter, foreseeing the coming food shortage, has been very busy for months preparing for eventualities. Through his governmental organization, he has compelled the people to cultivate a certain proportion of their land, with the result that today the department is self-supporting and needs no outside aid to tide it over until the next crop. The first alternative is to chart a near-term and long-term course of action. Set a timeline for your goals and the triggers that will instigate each action step. Each production period has its own timeline, says Tranel, and build flexibility into timelines in order to take advantage of unforeseen opportunities, he says, and to safeguard your operation against unforeseen threats. This flexibility might help you imagine the creative substitutes and alternative management approaches you could fall back on in the direst of circumstances. As what Tranel says, managing risk creatively requires forward thinking.
That was a very informative Arfel, right, Jeneline?
Exactly, Mary Joy. Now it's my turn. Hello, everyone. I hope you don't feel bored yet. Based on my thorough readings and research, more than 250 million farm families cultivate rice in Asia. In the past 3 decades, they produce 2.5% more rice each year to meet the growing food demand. This tremendous achievement was made possible due to the development and use of high-yielding rice varieties. However, we have exhausted the potential of the Green Revolution strategies for rice production. Farmers need new approaches and technologies to produce 50 to 60% more rice on existing or less land and water. The 3 factors that could contribute to increased rice productivity are: first, developing new rice varieties including hybrids with higher yield potential; second, minimizing the yield gap between what is currently harvested by farmers and the achievable highest on-farm yield of varieties they grow; and lastly, reducing the post-harvest losses and improving grain quality to enhance profitability. And that ends my discussion for today. May these topics help you in any way.
Indeed, Jeneline, I had a lot of learning today too. Now, my turn. The government has begun implementing agricultural strategies such as providing farmers with data-driven planning schedules to maximize profits while minimizing environmental damage. While many previously poor countries are now prospering, the globe as a whole is unlikely to fulfill the first Millennium Development Goal of decreasing the proportion of the world's population suffering from hunger between 1990 and 2015. The fundamental problem remains poverty and inadequate incomes. Agricultural development has a key role in generating the incomes needed to ensure food security and minimize environmental damage. Between a half and 2/3 of the world's poor live in rural areas where agriculture is the dominant sector. Most of the farming is done by smallholder farmers who rely heavily on land grants and subsidies from the central and eastern monasteries. That's it. I hope you learned something.
Therefore, we can conclude farming alternatives is important in managing crisis. And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks to my co-host, Arfelis Canilian and Marjoy Imia that are with me during this substantial discussion of farming alternatives in managing crisis. We hope, our dear audiences, that this episode was beneficial to you. As always, thanks for listening to BIGAS, Battling Insufficiency through Guided Agricultural Sustainability.